Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to College Readiness Now 2 webinar featuring our colleagues from Atlantic Cape Community College and Ocean County College. On behalf of the Center for Student Success and the New Jersey Council of County Colleges, we welcome you, and we're fortunate enough to have Dr. Monica Reed Kerrigan, who's Associate Professor of Educational Leadership at Rowan University and has also served as our statewide evaluator of College Readiness Now 1 and 2. Monica, please take it away.
Good morning and welcome. In a few moments, I will introduce our two panelists today, but before that, I want to provide some background for this webinar. And I can't advance any slides, but that's okay. I'll keep going. There we go. As most of you know, in 2014, New Jersey Community Colleges received funding as part of the College Access Grant to offer transition programs to New Jersey high school students. That first year was a pilot program, and we learned a lot about the experience. In that first year, colleges developed and implemented a program of their choosing, so long as the program reached low-income students and students of first-generation college-going. We saw significant variation in the programs that we implemented and the number of students we reached, as well as the outcomes of those students. So what I'm going to do today is just tell you a little bit more about what we did there, and then introduce our two panelists. And then at the very end, we'll take some questions. So as I mentioned, we began this process with College Readiness Now in 2001 with pilot programs in 2014. Then we took that information and we recommended that colleges tighten their approach as they moved into College Readiness Now 2. While still supporting colleges need to implement a program that meets the local needs and contexts, we encouraged program coordinators to choose one of three program formats: a semester-based program, a summer program, or an intensive one-week boot camp. We also asked that they include elements that addressed college experience and college knowledge. Of the 16 New Jersey community colleges that received funding from the state for College Readiness Now 2, we saw that programs used information that we shared about College Readiness Now 1. We're still reviewing the data, but we see that colleges did converge around the three formats and generally included some form of college knowledge and experience in their programs. Still, we see significant variation in the numbers of students reached and the outcomes of those students. Both of these are priorities for the third round of College Readiness Now. To that end, we convened this webinar to share two very different but successful examples of College Readiness Now programs. By no means are these the only successful programs in New Jersey. We chose these programs in part because they have successes in formats that can be implemented during the school year, which is a requirement for the next round of funding because of the fiscal year constraints. Those of you who have implemented traditional summer programs will benefit from hearing about the approaches these two programs took. Indeed, everyone will benefit from hearing about their experiences. So let me now move on to introduce our panelists. I'll begin with Ms. Amy Shelton, who is the College Readiness Now Program Coordinator at Atlantic Cape Community College. She's joined by a number of colleagues whom I will let her introduce in a few moments. But I want to note that her program caught our attention during the first round of College Readiness Now because of its efficiency, and her experiences in round 2 are no different. Her program offers a very focused and intensive 4-day math boot camp. Between summer of 2015 and summer of 2016, they had over 180 participants. Although each of her sessions run the same way, I will ask her to spend some time talking about her winter session because it is something that CRN3 folks might be able to replicate since it takes place during the school year. Then we'll move on to Dr. Henry Jackson. He is the College Readiness Now Program Coordinator at Ocean County College. Dr. Jackson has grown the CRN program at OCC from a couple of high school partners to 11 high school partners in the 2015-2016 academic year. They tested almost 600 students, and they have over 550 who participated in their program last year. This example is very different from the one at Atlantic Cape. Ocean offers an after-school program that works well with the existing high school day and structures. Unlike the Atlantic Cape program, which takes place at Atlantic Cape campuses, the Ocean program takes place at the high schools. Once again, this model is compatible with CRN3 because it takes place during the school year. I know many of you struggle to offer programs that work with the very full days of our high school partners. Both of these approaches have successfully navigated those challenges. Again, after our panelists have presented, we will take questions. For now, Amy, would you like to begin?
Yes. Okay, our math boot camp, we run it in the winter and the summer. Both programs are the same. The purpose is really to shorten the amount of time students need in remediation for math. We shortened it to 4 days instead of a whole semester by selecting students based on their AccuPlacer scores. We look at their elementary algebra score first. If they score between 58 and 75, we put them in our second level boot camp, meaning they only have to take one boot camp. If they don't meet those requirements, we look at their arithmetic score and place them in the first level, meaning they would take the first level boot camp and then the second level. In the winter, we run it for 2 weeks. We have the first level the first week, starting around January 2nd, and then the next week we run the second level, so they can complete both levels during the winter break. The first level boot camp is just like an Intro to Algebra 1 course. The second level is like an Intro to Algebra 2 course at most community colleges. The boot camps are 16 hours, 4 hours a day. We also have a tutor there for an additional 2 hours each day if the students wish to stay. We offer it on all 3 of our campuses. We had 188 students this past year. Melissa will speak to the recruiting.
Hi, good morning. So continuing education, part of Atlantic Cape, we did handle the recruiting piece for the math boot camps. Once the students completed their placement test, we received a list of qualifying students through some reports that our institutional research department ran. We first started with mailing letters, emailing students. We reached out to high school counselors, but the most successful thing would actually be to pick up the phone and call. And we received most feedback and most registrations via phone calls to parents or students.
And I'd like to introduce Michelle Leacott, math professor.
Hello, the software that we use is My Foundations Lab software. We chose this software because it has a prescriptive diagnostic test. So on the very first day of class, when the students come in, they take the diagnostic test. And then the diagnostic test places them into the modules that they need to master. If they master the section of the diagnostic test with a 70 or higher, then they can place out of that module and just continue on to the next module. Also at the end in each module, we have what are called post-tests, and each student has to pass each post-test with a 70 or higher to achieve mastery in that module if they did not master it by the diagnostic test. The students are in the classroom with a supplemental instructor and a full-time instructor, maximum 16 hours a week, plus the supplemental instructor, like Amy mentioned, can stay an additional 2 hours a day. the supplemental instructor and the instructor. We walk around the classroom, we hold mini lectures, and we answer questions that the students have, and we assist them one-on-one. We also provide the students with entrance and exit surveys so we can get feedback on their opinion of the boot camp to see how we can make any changes and improve anything that they feel they need for the boot camp.
And the surveys also collect demographics on the students, and 60% qualified for the lunches at school.
Free or reduced lunch.
The free or reduced lunches in the high school. So we did target that population. We have an advisement component for faculty. Once a student completes the boot camp, the faculty sit down and do the advising. We look at where they are in their career. Usually they're just beginning it, and we register them for their next semester's classes right then and there. We do it right in the boot camp, in the classroom. And we discuss their next steps and what they want to do. Also, we invited our Vice President of Student Services in, and he spoke to the students about their college experience and what support services are available. There's career development programs and things like that we offer. And the math tutoring services were spoken about, and the library services. So we introduced them to the college in about a half-hour presentation from Student Services. And I would like to introduce Bridget from our Institutional Research Department.
Hi, good morning. We do have a long-term assessment plan for the boot camp. Our big question really is, are they successful and how successful are they? We ask questions like, how successful are they in their college level class? Did they register for college level classes? Are they retained? And do they graduate at higher levels than non-boot camp students? And we use similar comparison groups to see if they are retained longer, if they graduate at higher rates, and to see their success in their college level courses. We already have some encouraging results. 100% of our participants, they completed an application to come to Atlantic Cape. Out of the 188 students, we had 138 that were ready to take their college level math upon completion of the program. And so far, on average, we have over 90% of our boot camp students register for at least one course within a year of completing their boot camp. We also took a look at our summer 2015 first time in college students. For our boot camp students, we had 59 that enrolled in either a math or a science within 1 year, so 82%. And we had 37 that passed in a math or a science course, their college level math or science within 1 year. When we look at the comparison group, so these are students that did qualify for boot camp but didn't actually take the boot camp, only 43 or 28% of those students enrolled in the math or science, and only 25% of those passed their math or science within 1 year.
And I know we're going to do questions at the end, but I'd like to add that we're working with Middle Township High School in Cape May County this year, and we are actually in their school. We're offering both levels, but we're not running it as a boot camp. We're running level 1 as the fall semester math for the students, and level 2 as the spring semester math for the students. And it's at minimum cost. So we're just providing a mentor for their teacher, and this will be the first time we've tried something like that. But we're working with the school in their school. We're trying to move the boot camp to the high schools. And this is our contact information.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Jackson from Ocean County College, and I'm going to talk about our collaboration with the Ocean County High School districts. As Atlantic Cape said, the purpose of the College Readiness Program now is to help 11th and 12th grade students achieve college and career readiness skills. Our program, the students in the program participate in an on-site literacy development bridge course at their high school. This works two ways. The on-site course is offered as an after-school course or as a 10-week semester-based model that is incorporated into the student's high school day. Students get access to the Pearson's My Foundations Lab for 10 weeks. The on-site programs allow students to participate in the self-paced learning activities and provide them face-to-face classroom instruction. Each bridge course has an academic coach who monitors students' progress, offers support, and assists whenever needed. Prior to the on-site transition program, a 3-day PD workshop is held with the academic coaches who are teachers in the high school. So each school chooses their math and English coach that they want to participate. During the PD sessions, they are 2 hours long, and the work in the sessions is used to guide instruction and student advisement during the on-site fall-spring transition course. PD workshops are conducted by the Executive Director of Academic Success, and they focus on literacy development strategies, incorporating critical thinking concepts and tools into the delivery of the 10-week transition course, and how to use Accuplacer scores, Accuplacer diagnostic scores, and Success Navigator as tools in developing student competencies in English and mathematics. So what we try to do with the coaches is to get them to not only work with the students in the classroom, but we try to explain to them that the computer, the software, does most of the work. So the algorithms in the computer software can help the student and will adjust as the student answers questions. However, what the computer cannot do is answer questions. That's where the academic coach comes in. And we call them coaches because we don't want them to teach. We want them to help the students and coach the students into getting better. So the training on critical thinking concepts and tools, we have the coaches in the classroom begin to ask students questions that allow them to or prepare them to think critically about what's going on. So for instance, if a student said, I didn't understand the main idea, the coach might come over and say, what is it about main idea you don't understand? And then begin to ask higher level questions that require the student to think critically about what they're saying. And hopefully what happens, the next time the coach comes back, the student will be prepared and will begin to answer those questions prior to the coach coming back. Participants in the program take the Accuplacer, and then they take the diagnostic assessment by Pearson. The first administration of the Accuplacer allows us to get a baseline placement score in English and math. Then after that first administration of the Accuplacer, 2 sets of scores are printed, and we share the scores with the school and the student. So the student gets a copy of the score, and the high school administration gets the copy of the score. Upon completion of the Accuplacer, scores are reviewed with students immediately following the completion. So we sit right there with them. Each student knows his or her score in math or English and where they're placing at the college level or below college level for OCC. I just said that. And then the Accuplacer diagnostic creates an individualized learning plan for the student. And then the student, or actually the school, can do one of two things. They can have an after-school program twice a week on the high school site. Usually the high school after-school program is held on the days that the activity bus comes. So either Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday and Wednesday. The after-school program is usually about 45 to 50 minutes, and then the students on one day go for English, and on the second day they go for math. When they're in for English, the English coach is there, and when they're there for math, the math coach is with them. After 10 weeks, a second acupressure test date is set up, and we go back and give the students a final placement. If students receive a placement score in English and math, it counts. If they do not, they can still come to OCC and take the English or math or part of the acuplacer at cost. What's on the acuplacer? There's 17 multiple choice questions. There's a 50-minute time writer essay. There's reading comprehension questions. There are about 20 multiple choice questions for reading comprehension and about 20 multiple choice questions for sentence skills. These are the results we share with the students. This is a sample, and we explain what each one of these scores are and how it affects their placement at OCC. And then this is an important part of the on-site, whether in the classroom or after school. Because what we do with this is we actually review this with the students. This is a sample of the writing placer essay holistic score description. And we talk to the students. Let me just go back one second. So this score right here, the score of a 6 is reflected in this description. So we try to help our students understand that if they work on these dimensions when they write their essays for whatever class they're going to be writing an essay for, this will help them improve their scores. On the ACT, SAT, PSAT, PARC test, acuplacer, they're all looking at these dimensions and they're all focusing on this in terms of their writing essay. So we give this to the student and we advise them to go back when they get a writing assignment, bring this paper with them, and ask their professor or teacher, did I hit these points? And also we work with the coaches, the English coaches specifically, and we explain this information to them because when they're working with the students, they will be able to use this information to further assist the students in developing their skills. The diagnostic, which is similar to the acuplacer, it looks just like the acuplacer, but there are more elements to the diagnostic. There are 45 multiple choice questions. It's adaptive. It shows a single proficiency score per subject or per domain. The test has 6 questions, and it provides a detailed analysis of strengths and weaknesses. Here's an example of what the diagnostic looks like once the student finishes. And what we do with this, again, is we share this with the coach, because oftentimes the coaches are meeting with these students for the first time. They're not students that they normally encounter throughout the day. So we try to give the coaches as much information about the students and the areas where they are strong and weak. So when they're working with them, either in the on-site after-school program or doing one of their daily scheduled courses, they have some background information to help the students out. And so for each one of these domains, it rates the student needs improvement, limited proficiency, proficient. And then right here, you can't see it on this, but it actually tells the student what they need to work on in that area. And this is for English and math. And then these are the requirements that the students are trying to meet to graduate from high school and then to place in OCC English or math college level. This year, we tested almost 600 students. We worked with 11 high schools and we had 2 high schools that had programs embedded into the actual student's day. So it was the one course that they went to during the course of the day, where they implemented our college readiness software into that class. This year, 4 more schools will be using the college readiness software to as a part of their high school daily course. And we have grown in numbers in high school partnerships. We're going up to 17 schools this year. So we added about 6 more. From our cohort in CRN2, we tested about 557 11th and 12th graders from 11 different high schools. Out of the 557, 220 have applied and 105 have enrolled as of August 3rd, 2016. And I will save the questions for after. And here's our contact information.
At this moment, I invite all attendees to submit any questions you may have in the questions section of the Go-To control panel. And we'll wait just a few seconds to see if anyone has any questions. We received our first question. How were the students selected in each program? Amy and Henry, you are both unmuted and can respond when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm here.
This is Henry. Based on their Accuplacer scores in math and English, we determine what level they have placed in OCC. And then we use the Accuplacer scores to determine who's at college level and who is not. And then the diagnostic, if some students do place in one and not the other. And so we use the diagnostic to determine what type of weaknesses and strengths they have in a certain areas, and then the diagnostic creates the individualized learning plan. But for the most part, we use the Accuplacer test to determine.
This is Amy from Atlantic Cape for our math boot camp for the second level, like an Intro to Algebra 2 course. They score between 58 and 75 on the elementary algebra part of the Accuplacer test, and that's how they qualify. If they don't score there, we look for the arithmetic score of 50 to 67 to put them in the first level, like an Intro to Algebra 1 course. That's how they're selected.
Okay, if anyone else has any questions, again, I invite you to submit a question in the Go-To control panel. We did have another question come in, and that was for Amy and Henry, if you'd be willing to share your PowerPoint, which if you are, we'll make sure it gets placed on our website along with the recording of the webinar.
Yes, I'm willing, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will share as well.
Thank you both. We have another question. Was anything done to make sure the students whose Accuplacer scores qualified them into the program also fit the demographics intended by the grant?
Yes, this is Dr. Jackson. Yes, there is. We, like our colleagues at Atlantic Cape, we use the federal lunch program. Several of our schools in our district, though, are high-risk, high-poverty schools. So we have quite a few students from those schools who are participants in our program.
At Atlantic Cape, we did target certain schools because they are a low-income area, and the high schools did not give us the lunch information, so we did a survey, a first-day survey, to find out who fell into that group.
I hope that answers the question that came in. We'll give it a few more seconds to see if any other additional questions might be in the process of being entered in. And while we give it a few seconds, I just wanted to take the time again to thank you, Amy and colleagues from Atlantic Cape, and also to you, Henry, at OCC, for not only sharing your programs, but of course for all the hard work that you do on your campuses, as well as all the folks who are participating and all the hard work that you do on our campuses. The center and the council is very grateful, and we appreciate it. At this moment, I don't see any further questions coming in, so we will end the webinar, and we wish you all a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.